Grand County TV18, shedding light on issues at hand.
Hi, I'm Brian Dolan with Grand County's TV18. The Fraser River was once home to one of the best fisheries in the Rocky Mountains. In the 1950s, the 34th President, Dwight D. Eisenhower, made this area an unofficial Western White House, avidly fishing the Fraser and the tributary streams that nourish the river along its 29-mile run from Berthoud Pass to its confluence with the Colorado. The drainage is also a major water source for the Denver metropolitan area, and with 75% of the state's population living east of the mountains and 80% of the state's surface water on the west side of the divide, Denver Water has built an elaborate plumbing and storage system to meet its demand for water. In Colorado's Grand County, tensions are running high as two of the state's largest water providers move forward with plans to divert another 48,000 acre-feet of water from the upper Colorado basin to the Front Range. These two firming projects, which are designed to make water supplies more dependable even in dry years, would come on top of three existing transbasin projects that since 1935 have reduced annual Colorado River flows in Hot Sulphur Springs by 60%.
Here's a short film from Trout Unlimited, highlighting the areas of concern.
When you turn a sprinkler on in Denver, you drop a water level in a river on the west side of the divide. I'm Kirk Planke. I'm the president of the Colorado River Headwaters chapter of Trout Unlimited. We're filming in the heart of Denver, Colorado, to ask Denver's residents where their water comes from.
No.
Do you know where your water comes from?
My sink.
Do you know where you get your water from?
I have not a clue where I get my water from, sadly.
So, do you know where your water comes from?
The sink.
Colorado is a growing, thirsty, and arid state. For more than a century, people from Denver and the Front Range have relied on water from across the Continental Divide to fuel the state's growth. Now, two new West Slope diversions are planned. The first would divert more water from the Fraser River through the Moffett Tunnel into Denver. Many worry that the Fraser and Upper Colorado rivers can't afford to lose more water.
60% of the water in the Fraser Valley is being diverted now. The Moffett Firming Project is seeking federal approval to take another 20% of the native flows, which would leave only 20% of a river flowing through the Fraser Valley. This is Jim Creek. Jim Creek's a tributary to the Fraser River. This is one of 30 beautiful mountain streams that are headed down towards the Fraser Valley and eventually diverted to Denver for their water supply. We followed Jim Creek down to a Denver Water Board diversion. It's a big concrete wall that stops these native rivers and then diverts them into a pipe where it flows into the straw that goes through the divide. Believe it or not, this is Jim Creek. This is what it looks like after it goes through the diversion structure. So much of the river's taken that we can't keep a stream alive in the valley floor. We have a stream on the brink.
We're estimating that about 80 to 85% of the native flows of the Colorado River are going to be taken out of the basin.
There's a limit to how much water can be taken and keep a river alive. Here we have the original stream bed width, but much less depth of water. So the water pours over rocks like you see here. These rocks collect heat. Now your river's built like a solar collector. So we're stressing the aquatic habitat tremendously by having the river heat to temperatures that never saw just one generation ago.
I think this is a resource that's on the brink of collapse. If any more water is taken out of it, we could lose this fishery altogether. The Fraser River also feeds Colorado, where there's whitewater rafting. A lot of people come up here just to fish the Fraser. If we lose the river, our economy is going to really be in dire straits.
A second diversion would increase the amount of water pulled from the Windy Gap Reservoir, where the Fraser and Upper Colorado rivers meet. The water is then pumped into Grand Lake, out through the Adams Tunnel, and under the Rockies to the Front Range. Fourth-generation rancher Wes Palmer lives on the Colorado River after it's joined by the Fraser River.
We're seeing what Windy Gap has done to us in the last 25 years. There's less fish, there's less bugs, there's less water, there's less everything. And now they're wanting more, and I'm saying, well, we better stop and look at this and make sure we don't have a huge disaster.
Grand Lake is Colorado's largest freshwater lake, known as Spirit Lake because of its deep blue color and striking clarity. But decades of diversions have muddied its waters, and planned expansions will degrade water quality even further.
Water is pumped into Grand Lake from the adjacent water body Shadow Mountain Reservoir. Shadow Mountain Reservoir is a large area but a very shallow water body, and as a result it's a perfect habitat for growing weeds and algae. If we move another 30,000 acre-feet of water into Grand Lake, that means another month of weeds, algae, and silt being moved from Shadow Mountain Reservoir into Grand Lake.
When they pump more water through Grand Lake, our water quality goes down. So it's one that's gotten worse because the Front Range continues to take more water.
As Colorado grows, so will its water needs. People on both sides of the divide will have to pay more attention to the region's most precious resource.
My husband and I have lived in the foothills around Denver for 25 years. So I can't imagine not being able to go up and fish below Shadow Mountain or to fish the stretch of the Colorado up by Parshall and on towards Kremling. They're part of what make this state what it is. It's our namesake river, and that means that every time we water our lawns, we are taking water from the natural water resources that surround us.
If 60% of the residential water use is going to be put on Kentucky bluegrass, how much water does bluegrass really need, and how much bluegrass does Denver really need?
Today, the state's two largest water utilities divert about 60% of the flows of the Fraser and Upper Colorado rivers. According to a study prepared for the Colorado Water Conservation Board, climate change models predict decreases in runoff in the Upper Colorado Basin. Lower flows already bring a torrent of problems for trout, including higher stream temperatures, sediment buildup, algae blooms, and a reduction in riparian and wetland habitat. And Denver and Northern Water want 20% more. By 2030, Colorado's population of 4.3 million people is projected to grow by 65%, with about 85% of those people living east of the mountains. Currently, more than 500,000 acre-feet of water is diverted from the river basins on Colorado's western slopes to the east side of the Rockies. While moving water from one river basin to another has been part of the fabric of life in the West for more than a century, building new diversions to satisfy the region's rapid growth is increasingly controversial. Water conservation should be a part of everyday life, a way of thinking. Help us save one of the most important resources. Here are some links that will help you find out more about the controversy surrounding Western water and the new projects on the table. Thanks for watching TV18 in Grand County.